Todd, how are you, brother?
Good to see you, Dallin. How are you, man?
Not too shabby.
Looks like we got things worked out. It's hard to do Instagram lives, as we both know.
Yeah. The first time we tried this, it didn't really work out, but now we have the technology, and seems to be working. So happy to give it another try.
Absolutely. It looks like a few people are jumping in to join us. You guys have a lot of poll because we can go live, and there are like 300 people already here for it. So that's awesome, and I love the fact that you guys are just having some great success on the new song, and of course the album comes out, and there's just so much to talk about. How much time have you got today, Dallin? Let's spend the day.
For you, Todd, I got all the time in the world. I just want to also quickly say hi to Darren from Phantom Planet who's watching. If folks, if you're not familiar with Phantom Planet, I know I'm here to promote me, but go check them out. Absolute legends.
Very good, very good. All right, so a lot is happening in your life, and certainly with the band and everything. We're seeing, and remember when I told you when you first sent me "Leave Me Alone," I said, "Dallin, this song's going to be a hit."
You did say that, yeah.
And it's doing really well.
Yeah, which is really surprising and really, yeah, it's a nice surprise for sure.
Is it weird having a song, that's on the charts and doing really well right now, and not being able to go out and play concerts? Because that's typically the way things are done.
Well, it's weird being on any kind of chart at all. First of all, because this is music that I have been writing and recording for me and nobody else really, and I didn't think ever that the music that I make could exist on any kind of chart. So the fact that it does it is already really incredible. But it is kind of frustrating to not be able to go out and play it for people. Because that is the sort of very immediate reward that you get to enjoy after you spend all this time writing and recording. But if waiting to do that is the name of the game, I think Ryan and I are both pros at this point. So we're happy to wait if that means keeping everybody safe.
And even the whole process of, and you guys are very active online with lots of music videos and things like that. How has that been, trying to do all the normal routine, put out a video, make a video, record this and that in the midst of a pandemic?
Well, it started to become challenging while we were wrapping up recording. We didn't get to go into a studio until February. And we spent about 3.5 weeks, I think, recording the thing. And once we wrapped it up, that's when coronavirus started to appear in the US and lockdowns and quarantine started to be implemented. So we had to mix the record via email. So every song took like dozens and dozens of back and forths because I couldn't be there in the room to mix the thing. So that delayed things even further. But yeah, making art this way, it definitely isn't ideal. But music videos in particular were a challenge to do, because how do you do something like that but keep everybody safe in the process? Because if making a music video comes at the expense of somebody's health, we don't want to do it. So that's why I started to implement the concepts of quarantine and isolation, sterile isolation into the music videos, and that way we could film this stuff and everything would still fit and make sense with the song and storylines and all that stuff. And at the same time, we're keeping everybody safe. So,
well, I think you and Ryan were kind of ahead of the curve here, because they're just two guys in the band. It's not like you've got 7, members of the band. So with two guys, social distancing, that's easy.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of born out of necessity, really. When Ryan and I started, we spent the first year or so playing in secret. And we were both still employed in other bands at the time. So keeping it between the two of us was just a matter of keeping things simple so that we could easily schedule a show at the drop of a hat and just go play for fun. The more people you add, the more complicated that becomes, the more expensive things become too. So keeping it between the two of us was just kind of a necessity for a while. I think maybe in the future we might add more live elements to the stage show. Yeah, for now, it's been great just keeping it between the two of us.
And you recorded a lot of it, or most of it, here in Utah. Is that correct?
Well, I demoed most of it here in my home in Salt Lake City.
Ah,
And we recorded this thing. We took those demos out to LA to work with a producer named Tim Pignotta, who's in Sugar Cult, and he did some
oh,
records for Walk the Moon and Neon Trees and a bunch of really big records. So it was a great opportunity. But yeah, it seems like every time we get a chance to record nowadays, it's always down at June Audio in Provo, and they're always really great about letting us come down and use their spot. So it's a it's good to be home, you know, more than anywhere else.
and so a couple of cool things that I want to make sure people are aware of. Number one, the album comes out tomorrow, Razzmatazz,
Mhm.
and you're doing, as we kind of touched on this earlier, normally you guys would be at Gray Whale in Taylorsville live in person, would pack the store full of people, have a nice little mini concert, tear the place up, and it would be a lot of fun. But some, things have had to change obviously for this time. And so it's
Yeah.
kind of a virtual in-store performance. Tell us how that's going to work.
Well, I went in there and filmed it the other day with a director named Everett, who's been recording a lot of things that we've been doing during quarantine. I mentioned June Audio, but we recorded a live set down there with a couple of real musicians. The first time Ryan and I have ever done that. We played with Robert Loud, who also plays with the Killers, and then Stu Maxfield, who's in Fictionist with Robert Loud, and he co-wrote a song with me on the record. But yeah, I kind of got lost in the question. I got really excited.
But I mean, so you've got it. So the in-store, the virtual in-store. So you recorded a performance.
Yeah, that's right. We were talking about Graywell.
Yeah.
We were talking about Graywell. It's kind of a similar thing. Everett and I went down there, and since Ryan is in LA, he couldn't join me, so I was just kind of in the store by myself with Everett and a camera. I just played a couple songs, and the workers there were really great about letting me hang out and shop for some vinyls while I was there. And in between that, I just played a couple songs and then got out of there. But yeah,
Okay,
I love Graywell.
Hey, hang on just a
Graywell is
second.
one of those institutions, you know?
Absolutely. Okay, so what vinyl did you buy? I got to know this.
Oh, let's see. I bought a Brian Eno record.
Oh,
I brought Weezer's Pinkerton, which I don't have on vinyl, one of my favorite records ever, and a copy of Sgt. Pepper, which I also don't have on vinyl. I do now, but I didn't before. So.
recently I just grabbed that album. I have the remastered CD of it, and my God, wow! You hear it again for like the first time whenever you grab that Sgt. Pepper's album. It's just like all the way through. You're like, this is just amazing. And how in the hell did they pull this off so many years ago?
I remember the first time that I heard it. It was on vinyl at a party or something when I was in ninth grade. Someone's parents had a copy, and all the other kids were out having fun doing ninth grade things, and I was in this room alone by myself listening to Sgt. Pepper for the first time, and it was really really pretty special.
On the song "Leave Me Alone," that kind of guitar riff that sort of goes through it, that rhythm guitar, it reminds me so much of some of David Bowie's work.
Mhm.
Was that an influence, or am I just hearing things?
No, absolutely. I mentioned Sgt. Pepper being a big the record that I bought, but that was a big influence for this record as far as like concepts go. But Bowie with Ziggy Stardust, him having that whole fictional storyline surrounding his record too, that was an inspiration. But I'm just a big Bowie fan in general, and I feel like, for better or worse, I always wear my influences on my sleeve when I write. But yeah, I think he kind of snuck his way in there.
It's just such a groovy song, and I just, every time I play it on the radio, I just have to pause and turn it up, and I dance badly. Like, you wouldn't want to see this happen, but
I'm right there with you. But take some comfort in the fact I was watching American Utopia last night, David Byrne's Broadway special that he did, and he's got that song about this is how he dances. He dances this way, and it's not good, but he would dance better if he could, but. Dancing is just done for the joy of it, I guess. So don't feel bad. I'm right there with you.
So we have, I gotta mention these things. So with the Gray Whale thing, the album goes on sale tomorrow morning, and when Gray Whale opens up, the one in Taylorsville, they have you and Ryan pre-signed a whole bunch of vinyl and a whole bunch of the album on CD, and those will go first come first serve, right?
Yeah, I was able to be there and sign stuff. We couldn't get shipped Ryan out of the records and have them back in time since he's out in LA still. So I wish he could have been there to join me and sign all that stuff. But unfortunately, it's just me for now.
Well, we'll take it, Dallin, and then you know you'll go on tour, and when Ryan's there, people can collect the other signature. It's a
Absolutely.
scavenger hunt. It's the COVID-19 scavenger hunt.
Exactly, and he would be happy to do it. I know that his even though he lives in LA, he's still a Utah boy at heart. And had he been here, he would have been, right there with me, signing everything if he could. So,
And Dallin, when I talk about the song on the radio, I will often say it's my good friends Dallin and Ryan, and I truly mean that because we've known you guys forever. Like you've been involved in a bunch of different bands in Utah and some bigger national bands, and I remember a couple of things with you. I remember back in, and this would have been in the Brobex days, we were doing these concerts at I think it was over at Trolley Square, and you were performing.
yeah,
And you
yeah.
came
Was
and
that
played one of those.
Yeah, was it
It was on the
the
patio by the
Hard Rock
Yeah,
Cafe? Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I remember we kind of got in trouble after we did our set because the Hard Rock Cafe wasn't expecting anyone to come and see these bands play.
That's
And
right.
we
I
had a
remember that.
we had a really big crowd, and the Hard Rock kind of got upset with us after because their servers couldn't get through this crowd of people. They were just
That's
expecting
right.
some local bands with their families and cousins coming to see them play. They didn't really appreciate that there's a scene in Utah with local bands that actually have fans that come out and see them play these shows. So I think they kind of didn't know what they had signed up for.
Dude, that was such a great moment, and I've always said, and I'm not trying to blow my own horn by pretending like I'm some kind of musical prophet, but just ever since I saw you perform with Brobex and just every other band you've been involved with, I've just always thought like this dude is for real, and I can't wait until the rest of the world gets to see the talent that grew up here in Utah. So I'm so proud of what you guys have done and are doing and what the future holds. Like seriously, dude. And I mean this because you've always been so cool, and I remember I was doing a book signing once for one of my books, and you were working at Guitar Center, I think, and you left on your break to come and say hi because we were just down the
No,
street
it was Music Village in
That's
Ogden.
right. Yeah, that's
And
right.
they've moved locations, but they're still out there. If you live up in Ogden and you play guitar or anything really, they'll accommodate you. But tell them Dallin sent you. My old boss still owns the place, I should say. So yeah.
Dude, that's awesome. The song Razzmatazz, I watched the music video for that, and I must compliment you for having the balls to put in a sexy saxophone solo. That was perfect. I loved it.
Yeah, I had to do it. I think it feels like the older you get, the more saxophones find their way into what you write. I don't know what it is. It's just sort of natural progression, I think. But yeah, there was a couple times on I think maybe two or three times on the record where we wanted to use sax, and a couple times where the suits stepped in and said, "Oh, you shouldn't do that. That's not cool. Saxophone isn't cool." But I wholeheartedly disagreed, and we kept it in anyway. So
Dude, you're gonna make it cool. Like that's the power of I don't know
I
how to
wish I
make it
could
sound
play
like.
it though. That's the only thing. I wish I was. I
Who did
wish
you
I was
get?
that cool.
Who
It
plays
was
on that?
Matt Appleton from Real Big Fish
Ah,
who did
nice.
all the horn work on the record, and I think he's based out in like New Jersey or something. And I've only met him in person maybe like a couple times, but he's like the nicest dude, and he's so talented. And anytime I need horn stuff, I'll just email him, and within like a day, he'll send me like 13 files of something. Like he goes above and beyond. He's a talented guy, really nice dude.
Oh, I love it. I had no idea that it was one of that's who that was. That's great.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see another show. Like the live shows that you and Ryan do are, it's just quite an experience, and the fans are singing along to every word. And man, I miss concerts so much. I never thought I would say that because I'm old and jaded, and I've been to a billion shows. But this has taught me that music live is a thing, and my God, we
yeah.
all miss it.
It's important, man. But I agree. Like not being able to have it has made me, I think, appreciate it a lot more, and probably given me some perspective on why it is so valuable. I think for me, at least, from the time being 15, 16, and just going to shows, it's always been like this moment of escapism. You know, you get to just forget about all of your problems and forget about everything else that's going on outside of those doors, and you just get to exist in a moment and share something with 300 strangers that you know, you might not have anything else in common, but for that hour and a half, 2 hours that you're in that room, you share that one thing in common, the band that's on stage. And it's really cool, like almost like a therapy or something. But yeah, I really miss it.
So you grew up in Utah. Was it Clearfield? Is that what I'm? Is that? Do I remember that correct?
Yeah, Clearfield, Davis County. You know.
Yeah. And is, you know, as a kid, you're going to concerts. What were some of the earliest concerts that you knew that you had to be on stage?
Oh man. Well, the first concert that I ever went to, I think, was Counting Crows out in Saltaire. Had to be like 95 or 96, maybe. I remember going and seeing Pearl Jam at Wolf Mountain.
Oh wow.
But I think it was discovering Kilby Court and discovering the music scene that exists in Utah that really sparked it for me. I remember it was maybe like the second or third show that Brobecks were playing at Kilby Court, and it was the first time that actual strangers had come to specifically see my band play, and it wasn't just, you know, people from work or your cousins or something. And probably just like a dozen people that we had never met before and specifically came to see our band, and just experiencing that really locked it in. And from that moment on, I was like, well, I have to do this forever now.
Those Kilby Court shows are there's just nothing like it. It's just so intimate and special, and that venue just has such a charm. And what a legacy of great bands that have played on that teeny little stage in the corner.
Yeah, no joke. I talk to bands about it on the road, and you know, when they find out we're from Salt Lake City, and they'll ask about Kilby Court or something, and we always talk about the first time that you play there, you roll down into that alley, and you're thinking, well, this can't be it. We must have the wrong address, and then you see the shack and the venue, and you realize, whoa, this is the place. Well, and then your heart just kind of sinks a little bit. But then you play the show, and people come out, and it's like the best night of the entire tour. And that's the case for every single band that rolls through Salt Lake City and plays Kilby Court. The story is exactly the same every time. But it's one of those venues, and musically speaking, we live in one of those towns that just appreciate art and appreciate music, and it's a special place to be.
Promise me this, Dallin, when and you're probably already a bigger band than really should be even playing in Kilby, but as things progress and the band really, you know, starts to play giant venues, we still have to find a way to, even if it's a secret show, to sneak in for a Kilby concert with you guys.
Yeah,
that would just, you know, be awesome.
I think I saw that they've started to do socially distanced shows here and there. So I was thinking about just between you and me here and nobody else. Sure. I was thinking about maybe secretly booking one under the name of Hans Klopek and the Midnight Neighbors.
Okay, we'll watch for that.
So if you see that pop up, that's going to be us, but don't tell anybody.
We'll know it's you by the fact that it's a very long band name.
I think it's one syllable longer than our actual name.
On a personal level, just, you know, with everything else going on in the world, you doing all right? Because this has been a shitty year.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing okay. The toughest thing is just not being able to tour and not being able to play this stuff for people. But on the flip side, the silver lining for me is being able to be at home with my family for this long. I think in the past 10 years, I haven't been able to be here this long at all. So it's been great to be able to spend this time with them and be here with them.
They must like that because, yeah, if it were any other year, you'd be on the road the rest of the year, you know.
I mean, I hope they like it. I mean, there's definitely those days where I think the stress and the paranoia about COVID get to you, And my wife was like, "Okay, you got to go down in your room here and work on some music, and you gotta leave us alone for that."
Do you have a pile of songs that you've been working on since all these got done?
Yeah, I've been able to start casually collecting ideas, and I've got a lot of them, but they're all just like beginnings, bits and pieces here and there. But I've been so busy with this record release and promoting the thing that finding blocks of time to work on this stuff has been a challenge. But I'm hoping that after the release is done and that gets rolling on its own, like I can devote more time to working on this new stuff.
And there's really, I mean, I know some bands are kind of talking about maybe putting some shows on paper for 2021, but we just really don't know. I mean, is that kind of the feeling you have too?
Yeah, so some ideas for shows have been sailed our way, and we say yes to everything because we really want to play. But plans change day by day, and no one really knows for sure. So I think two or three times we've had shows on the books, and just as the weeks went on, they just didn't happen. Because people are trying to figure out how to do something like that safely, and if we can't do it safely, then we're not going to do it. So that's
and we've been kind of kicking ideas around here in the building. It's like, how could we possibly put a show together? And it's a challenge because hopefully someone finds a way. I mean, there's certainly lots of good online performances, and the one that you're putting out on the YouTube, it's on your YouTube, the virtual performance from Gray Whale.
Yeah. Well, Flaming Lips managed to do it the other day. They had everyone in a hamster ball. That was pretty cool.
Well, they would have done that anyway.
I think they would have.
Yeah,
that's kind of that's just another day in the Flaming Lips world, I think.
Oh my God! So, Dallin, what else should we talk about? Did I miss anything? Anything you want to bring up?
No, I think so. Just to recap it all, go listen to Phantom Planet and go to Kilby Court, and if you live in Ogden, go to Music Village, buy a guitar.
And don't forget to buy a copy of Razzmatazz. It comes out tomorrow.
That is why I'm here.
Actually, you know what? We've got like some of the signed copies in as a vinyl they take. So if you want to get entered to win one, if you're actually watching this live on Thursday, October 22nd, you can text the keyword vinyl to 33986, and that'll get you entered to win a signed vinyl copy of Razzmatazz.
Right on. Well, thank you, Todd. I really appreciate everything that you've done for me and for us over the years, and spinning our music and supporting us. Like you've been the first in that line of people, so I'll never ever forget that. So thank you very much.
Of course, and thanks for always being cool to us. Give my best to Ryan and to your family as well.
Absolutely. Okay, talk to you soon.
Right.
Thanks, Todd.
See you, Dallin. Bye-bye.
Later.